I'll keep saying it. The Jokic Murray 2-man action is virtually unguardable. I don't know if there's a formula to stop it. I don't know that there's a formula to contain both of them. They tried at times to blitz last night. Murray handled it well. They made some adjustments against the zone. Denver did, that led to some easy buckets. We talked with Doris about that. I think overall, I just want to be cognizant of what's happening in real time. Without any sort of takiness, I think we're witnessing two guys in Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray who are having an all-time playoff run. Not a all-time playoff series, not an all-time playoff game. I'm not saying there's peaks to all of this stuff, but it's historic what they are doing.
Yeah.
Jokic with his 10th triple-double last night in the postseason, the first 30, 20, and 10 triple-double in the NBA Finals. Jamal has been incredible. First pair of teammates to have a 30-point triple-double in a finals game. Like, it is remarkable what we are witnessing from the two of them.
Here's a question I had we didn't talk about with Doris about the two of them. And, obviously the finals are not over yet. But when you start to look at best two-man games in NBA history, even recent NBA history, and I don't mean duos. I don't mean like, two amazing players like D Wade and LeBron or Steph and Clay, just the actual two-man game action. Are you having a thought with these guys right now? Obviously, they haven't won a championship yet, but in terms of how they fit together, because I was thinking about who the other ones are.
Well, yeah, I mean, we go to the other ones, and of course, Stockton, Malone, Kobe, Shaq. I'll probably put Tim Duncan and Tony Parker, Tim Duncan and Manu, Steph and Draymond for sure.
Bird and McHale, maybe.
Well, yeah. I mean, they did a lot of baseline screening for each other, and then they post up at 12 feet. No, but I know what you're saying. The interaction of the two, right? The interaction. You screen for me, I screen for you. You pass to me, I pass to you. That sort of thing. Last night, 32 on-ball screens from Jokic to Murray. That's the most they've ever had as a pair of teammates in any game. Much less a playoff game. 29 of those led to a direct action. Watching the game last night, and then when I got that data this morning, I went back to something that Spoelstra said to me when I called the Knicks Heat game 6 in the second round. I asked him about playoff Jimmy, and he said, well, everything in the playoffs gets streamlined. And if you're spending an entire season, 82-game season, and you're running 10 to 15 of those plays, 5 to 10 dribble handoffs, that just gets extrapolated in the playoffs, because what is going to give you your best chance of success? The two-man action between Jokic and Murray, because the defense has to react in some capacity, whether it's a switch, whether it's being at the level, trying to get back to Jokic, whether it's a drop, whether it's all-out blitz like they had at times last night, and haven't seen a good answer for it yet.
We're going to get to some of the MVP odds in a second. Murray's playoff run, 27, 7 and 6, 40% from three, 51% from the mid-range. Is there, as dominant as he has been, is there any chance he has, if Denver is able to win this series in 5 or 6 games, of winning the MVP? Or are we just like, this is the best player on the planet and he's taking it no matter what?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. Denver has to get 2 more wins. What happens in those 2 games? I don't know. I'm fairly certain, and on DraftKings Sportsbook, seems like the odds are fairly certain that if Denver ends up winning, Jokic will get the MVP. He's at minus 750 right now. Jimmy second at plus 700. Jamal third at plus 1800. So I think those odds reflect the fact that if Denver wins, it's going to be Jokic. If Miami wins, it's going to be Jimmy. You brought up Bam. Bam's at plus 1800. Look, when we talk about finals MVP, to me, it's not the trump card. when we talk about a player and where they fit in the pantheon of all-time greats. But it's certainly as important as any resume builder, because there's a lot of guys that have won MVP. There's a lot of guys that have won All NBA. There's a lot of guys that have been All-Star multiple times. When we talk about Jokic now as a 2-time MVP, potentially having a Finals MVP, that is a different conversation now. 1 ring, Finals MVP, 2-time MVP in the regular season. Well, now he's moved up a tier.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Again, Jokic at minus 750. He's got 41% of the money, but Jamal Murray actually has the most percentage of bets. So bettors are sort of playing the odds there. Again, the return on plus 1,800 versus minus 750, a little bit different. But yeah, I think if Denver ends up winning, I think it ends up being Jokic that wins Finals MVP. That seems reasonable. And I think when we talk about this with Doris, I think to an extent, I think we kind of owe him a little bit of an apology. I think we all do, for how he's been sort of covered for the last few months. The shocking surprise of his greatness to some observers is still so baffling to me.
Yeah, we get into that with her. Before we get to her, and there's a lot on this series. In this, I want to talk just very briefly about Game 4. If there's any adjustment you would sort of anticipate from Miami, and then the one sort of question I wanted to ask about Denver, they were 5 of 18 from 3 last night. They still have not had a big game from KCP or MPJ or anything really resembling a big game, which feels a little scary for Miami because you would think at some point that would happen. Do you see something from an adjustment standpoint with the Heat that could kind of get them back on track to where, the last quarter and a half of Game 2 where they were sort of rolling there?
Yeah. I'll start with just a general attachment and physicality with Murray. I think at times in Game 3, there was a little more separation off the ball than there was in Game 1. Great example of that is in the second quarter. He hits 3 threes, one of which was super tough at the end of the shot clock. Step back over Bam, going right. Another one was at the top of the key, though, and Jimmy's on Jamal. Jokic is on Bam. Jokic goes to the dribble handoff. I guess Jimmy thinks they're going to switch. He goes under Nikola Jokic to switch. Bam is late to recover. Easy 3 from the top of the key. Jokic later on in the quarter posted up. They double. They almost always now have Murray as the next guy, and Jimmy's late to recover there. Murray hits another 3. So I think stuff like that they can clean up. The like plays like that where just a general awareness and an attachment off the ball with Jamal Murray. I don't know what the adjustment is. I don't know that there's a good answer on the ball with the 2-man game. But certainly if you're more attached off the ball, you have a better chance of defending the dribble handoff action with Nikola Jokic. I don't know how I feel about the zone right now. It seems like the early adjustments from the Nuggets worked. Miami, we talk about this, Doris. Miami changed the alignment, the initial alignment a little bit. Denver exploited that last night. And then it's just like, can you make some layups? Can you make some layups if you're the Miami Heat? Because they generated enough threes, some of which were pretty heavily contested, but they gave themselves a chance there. It's really the finishing on layups and dunks that they really had a problem last night.
This is the bizarre thing to me. This was the case in the Celtics series too. The Heat need to shoot. We talked about this before. They need to shoot. They in their wins they're shooting 48% from 3. They shot 31% from 3 in Game 3. That's not going to cut it. But their lack of ability to make 2-point shots is shocking for a team that is in the finals.
Yeah. It hurts you. It hurts you because you want to get good looks from 3. Because if you can shoot that at a decent clip, that's good offense. That's efficient offense. But ultimately, the reason you want to shoot and make threes is so that you can get layups because that's more efficient. You know what I mean? Like, so if you're not making layups, it's tough. The one thing I want to go back real quick, the one thing on the 2-man game, I do wonder if they just make a decision like, we're going to blitz Murray every single time. We're going to send the help early so that Jokic can't catch the ball. If Jokic does post up, we're going to double him early. We're going to rotate to Jamal Murray early, and we're just going to play a zone on the backside. And, hopefully they can navigate. The problem with that is Denver does such a good job of cutting. Christian Brown last night, Jeff Green, Aaron Gordon. It's like, okay, we're going to sell out to these guys. Well, Jokic can make every pass. This is the issue. And so, but I do wonder if it's some of that, like if there's a specific way that they double those two guys that essentially protects the rim and says, all right, you know what, KCP, if you're going to hit 5 threes, Michael Porter Jr., if you're going to hit 6 threes, congrats. You can win the game.
Our guy, NBA University, put a thing out today on Twitter. It was about the regular season, it was about the playoffs, but it was a ranking of the top assist combos during the regular season. And this isn't going to be that surprising for people that were following it all year. But number 2 was Jokic Gordon. Number 3 was Jokic Murray. Number 13 in the league was Jokic Porter. And so you're like, this is the thing, is like he's gonna figure out a way to get the ball to whoever is cutting, whoever is open. And last night it was Brown and Green, but like, who knows who it's going to be in game 4. So there aren't a lot of answers.
Yeah. Last point I want to make, and then we'll get to Doris. Great stat from John Schumann, who longtime writer who covers the NBA. Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic have 27 assists to each other in 3 games of the NBA Finals. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown had 6 assists to each other in 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's not a knock on Tatum and Brown. Again, I call it the inherent conundrum. This is what makes Jokic Murray so special, is the amount of ways that they can run actions together. I'll leave you with that. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelplinema.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700 on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. In West Virginia, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. All games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly. In partnership with Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gaming resources. Opt-in and 10 plus leg required for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms.